Hello again, Internet. I'm back. But I already made a video to that effect. So, I'm going to talk to you about what I did this weekend. I would have just made a blog post like I did the last time I went to something like this. But I figured, what the hell, man? Am I the Sultan or am I the Sultan? If I'm going to be making videos again, then why in the world would I not make this a video? So, hopefully my stupid webcam can focus on this. I went to Swampcon this past weekend, which was at the University of Florida, which is local to me because I live in Florida myself. It's only about a 2-hour drive away, and I went for exactly one reason. And there he is. Hopefully this will be clear enough to the webcam. It's a little difficult to hold it still. Little Karibo is the reason why I went down to up to Swampcon. I had to drive north, so I guess that would be went up to Swampcon. And quite the adventure it was, let me assure you. First issue came when I woke up morning of, and I woke up plenty of time, so I thought. Woke up, had a shower, had a yogurt for breakfast, which is mostly all I eat for breakfast anymore. Diets. And I realized that, idiot, you forgot to print off your ticket last night. Now your roommates are asleep and you can't use their printers. So after a bit of a panic, I remembered that I would probably be able to get into the my apartment complex's computer lab and print something off, and I did. I think I gave them the ticket I printed off at Swampcon, so I can't show it to you. But the long story short is that this isn't so much a panic attack as it is just I got a bit of a late start. Ended up alright. I made up some time on the road on the way up to Gainesville, University of Florida. Made it up there, found a parking space. Pretty uneventful. Drive up. Just me singing loudly, obnoxiously, and if we're going to be honest, poorly, pretty much the entire way. First thing I did when I got there, obviously, after I parked, was head up to the student center where the convention was going to be and start, trying to figure out registration. And I see the registration line stretches from, if we're going to invert it from here, where the registration desk is, all the way down around the back corner and all the way back up, almost looping back on itself. Which, I'm not going to lie, at first glance, I thought it was looping back on itself and people were just walking in a circle. And then I realized, oh, I've misunderstood the line. There's actually two lines. There's the long line was for, registration, and then, pre-registration is just this short line when you've already got your ticket, like I do. So, I step forward and I get into the short line. And, then I noticed that, wait a second, I misread that sign. It's backwards. That line is for pre-reg, and this is for, people who need to register now. So, I hop right over behind the last person in that line. And it's only as I hand them my ticket and I get my my fun manacle, the manacle upon your wrist without which fun may not be had. And it's only as I'm walking away, taping this thing on my wrist, that I glance back at this line and realize, wait a second, I misunderstood again. The very long line is for everybody. And everybody waits in line, and when you get to the front, then you split off into either reg or pre-reg. So I accidentally cut the entire registration line. Yeah, I felt kind of bad about that one. I mean, there was really nothing I could do, but I felt like a bit of an idiot and a bit of an ass. Oops. So, I'm walking around on the third floor, which is actually the fourth floor. Let me just take an aside here. The ground floor is the first floor, people. Okay? You don't have the ground floor, and then you walk up the stairs to the first floor. That's stupid. So I was walking around on the 3rd floor, which was actually the 4th floor, and I was looking for the maid cafe, because I hadn't eaten but for that one yogurt at breakfast time. It was getting about to be time for brunch, early lunch, and was looking for a muffin or something like that. And my sis was is in the maid cafe, and she's I'm going to refer to her as my sis. I don't know if she wants me using her name on the internet. We are not related by blood, but we're very, very close, and I do think of her as a sister, so she's just my sis. And she's working at the maid cafe along with a couple of other friends of mine from high school. And as I was going around looking for this, I'm wandering around the 3rd floor because I'm not really sure where everything is yet. I'm not overly familiar with the layout of their student union. And I walked past what I found out was the vendor's room, which was pretty small. There was some issue with their union rights and vendors, so there were not very many vendors there. When I walk by, and I see at the first table right here, as I glance through the door, there's a woman with red hair and a tattoo, well, a sleeve tattoo that looks, kind of mechanical. There's gears and pistons and pneumatics and kind of neat looking. And just past her is a head that's sort of starting to grow its hair back in, or maybe it was a receding hairline. And I'd taken, one more step past the doorway when I freeze and realize, wait, that was Little Karibo and his wife. That's yeah. And I'd met them both briefly at Youmacon in November, this past November 2012. I had met both of them briefly. Did not get to speak much to either one of them, but yeah, I'd gone through the line for Little Karibo's autograph. Didn't have anything for him to autograph. Just took a picture with him, shook his hand. Was a very nice guy at the time, and I went to his panels. Was very impressed by his stage presence. So I walk up. He doesn't have anybody there because it's pretty early. The convention's only really just started. Nobody's really figured. Apparently, nobody had really figured out where the vendor's room was just yet. So I walk up and greet him and his wife. Offer my hand. He shakes it, and I go, "Hey!" And he looks at me and goes, "Oh, Backslash." And I was trying to remember how words work, trying to stop swallowing my tongue. I mean, I met this guy twice for, a combined total of less than 15 minutes 2 months ago. And he remembered me? What? I mean, I was just blown away. I could not believe he remembered me. So, yeah, once I'd figured out how to pull my tongue back out of my throat and actually remember how words work, yeah, it was a little overwhelming to the point that even now I'm still kind of reeling, as you can see. But it was just surreal. And that was the word that I just used. That was the word I used for all of Youmacon. All of it was completely surreal. Seeing all these people who I mostly only knew from voices on the internet, and getting to meet them in person was amazing. It was absolutely surreal. And it was even more surreal to have Little Karibo remember me 2 months on. So I was blown away. In the interest of rhetorically speaking to people who most certainly are not watching, Little Karibo, Martin, if I may be so presumptuous to call you that, thank you so much. You're a wonderful man. You're wonderful with your fans, and I saw evidence of that all weekend. But as a fan, as a fanboy, if I'm being honest, thank you. And this, this story only gets better too, because I was wearing my Nylock shirt from Kerbifer's Flash series Tome, and Little Karibo provides the voice of Nylock, and after exchanging pleasantries, he noticed my shirt, and I said, yeah, I was hoping that I would be able to find some kind of a fabric safe marker and something that would write on black, because the shirt is black. And I was hoping I would be able to get, something that would write on that, so that I could get you to sign it, and, maybe eventually get Kerbifer to sign it as well, because I'm a big fan of his work, and I'm a big fan of Tome especially. And he goes, oh, you don't need to worry about that. Look, Nylock is in white. Hang on. And and I was like, well, that's true, but I mean, I'm wearing this shirt right now. And he goes, no, don't worry about it. And he like clambers out from behind the table he was sitting at, because there was boxes of t-shirts all around him, and comes at me with a marker. And where'd my shirt go? Where is it? Yeah, he signed my Nylock shirt right there on Nylock's arm. I only hope that that the signature survives the wash. Which it probably won't, but doesn't matter. It was signed. Signed by the voice of the character. It's still signed in spirit, even as the ink fades. But yeah, no, you want to talk about surreal. Not only did he remember my name, apparently, or my handle at least, in my face, but climbed right out from behind his desk to write on my shirt while I was wearing it. It was a fun weekend. It was full of all kinds of odd little touches like that. Just made it all worthwhile. Another thing that came up while I was sitting there talking to him was that he was premiering, the first time he brought it to a convention, premiering a new t-shirt design. And he goes, yeah, it's this one here. Tell me what you think of it. And I looked at it, and I said, I think I'll buy it. What I think of it. And, he laughed, and I exchange was made. And I've got it here, too. There it is. I've got he said it was just the first run. He was planning to redo it a little bit, but here you have it. And the reason I told him I really liked it is because I quite like more subtle references. And I know this isn't the most subtle, but I mean, it doesn't say the name of the show. It doesn't say the name of the characters. It doesn't say, one of the abridged series catchphrases. It doesn't say screw the rules. It doesn't say Binky Boy. It's just kind of a quiet design in gold, a little Latin motto, and I appreciate it. So, like I said, I bought it on the spot, and I wore it the second day of the convention. Which, again, pretending that Little Karibo was going to be watching this, I did get several compliments on the shirt, on the design, while I was walking around on Sunday. So, however well or not well it did or didn't sell this weekend, I say don't give up on it. He mentioned to me that he wanted to possibly do a rerun in order to alter the coloration a little bit, and I'm sure that would just make the shirt even better. But I've got one of the first run, which just makes it a first edition. Eventually, I decided to, mind my own business, let the poor man sell his merchandise without having a fan hovering over his shoulder the whole time. I went to see the Maid Cafe, which was very nice. Seeing my old friends dance around to J-pop music was fun. It was, in another friend's case, kind of funny. But just because this guy always makes me laugh. Muffin was delicious. I I really needed about that time. I love lemon poppy seed. Yay, Maid Cafe. I spent the next couple of hours bopping around the school with some high school friends from my online gaming server. We had a chat server that was the community mostly just consisting of people we knew in high school and a couple of people that we subsequently met in college. So bopped around with those guys, got some lunch until it was time for Little Grivo's panel at the down in the Grand Ballroom. We got there a little early, caught the tail end of the panel before it, which was about translation. Pretty interesting. But, yeah, mainly I had gone down there early so that I could be sure I had a front row seat, and I did. And, the panel was absolutely hysterical. Absolutely hysterical. Because he didn't have a video to premiere at the con, he left it to the audience, you know, here, ask me questions, request voices, tell me what you like, what you want to hear. It's on you guys, tell me what you want. And there were the usual requests, you know, oh, say screw the rules, I have money, say my voice gives me super strength, say like a bitch, that one came up a lot. Everybody really likes that line by Frieza, and I do too. Like a bitch. But there were some interesting questions. I think one of the things that I appreciated hearing about was that somebody asked, does he get upset or offended when people try to imitate his voices back at him? And he says, no, of course not. That would, you know, I'm doing bad impressions of people to begin with. It wouldn't really make a lot of sense for me to get upset from people doing impressions back at me. And somebody asked, wait, so it doesn't freak you out? And he goes, oh, it freaks me out immensely. It just doesn't upset me. That was the question. But won't, though, as I am to just suddenly spout off a random line or two. I didn't let it bother me as much as maybe I would have. Particularly on Saturday, it wasn't actually from the abridged series. I was wearing my Nylark shirt, and so whenever it was time to go anywhere, I would go whoosh. And a couple of times he heard me, he would echo it back whoosh. But the panel ended with after we got through the questions, after we got through him reciting, I think, the entire script of the first episode, half of it traditionally, and then he kind of, halfway through, he just kind of slipped into the vagina monologues. But, you know, halfway through, everything just went to hell. And I find it great that even he can't make it through the vagina monologues without cracking into laughter. That was a little reassuring. But the panel ended with a reading of 50 Shades of Grey. Not exactly, you know, news. It's something that's been done, but I don't know. Hearing Tristan dominating Merrick was interesting, to use the smallest possible words. I don't really want to consider that. All I really had to say was, okay. And that was about all he had to say was, okay, does anyone have it? And eventually we came up with it, but somebody runs up with their iPad and he opens it up and he goes, oh, this is just the first page. You know, there's no porn on the, you know, on page 1. He starts like flipping through. He goes, does anybody know, you know, where the porn starts? And everybody laughs. And a guy about 6 rows back screams, page 227! And yeah, everybody laughs again, and he goes, how do you know that? But he flips through, hits page 227, and he goes, oh my god, it is! How do you know that? there we were. If you want to read along at home, page 227 with Tristan and Merrick. The only thing of note that I would say about the panel was that in the middle of the reading of 50 Shades of Grey, I get a tweet from Colonel Cheru, who is somebody else that I met at Youmacon, asking whether or not Little Kribo had used the word banoodle. He had not. I didn't know what that meant, and I was, I raised my hand for a question. I was not able to attract his attention. He was calling on people towards the back of the room, and I guess he figured that if I had a question, I would just go and ask him afterward, and of course I did. I asked him about banoodle, and he goes, "Yeah, I have no idea what that means. That's my trunks." Had apparently texted him telling him to say it with no context whatsoever. So, he didn't say it because he didn't know what it meant. As far as I know, still doesn't know what it meant. I still don't know what it means. At least not in this context. But, I went to buy some Kaiba condoms from him, and he was more than happy to write banoodle on every one of them. There you have it, banoodle. Still don't know what that is, what it means. I did a bit of research and found, like it's like a piece of wire that you roll up, like a chip bag with. You roll it up in the thing, in the top of the bag when you roll it down, and then fold it in, and it creates an airtight seal. It's supposed to be better than just clippy the top of the bag, I guess. That's the only thing I could possibly find. I don't know if that's what it means. Trunks, you gotta help me out here. I'm running on so much confused. But yeah, no, I'm sorry if Cherry or Trunks, if you're watching this, I'm sorry I couldn't get Little Kribo to say banoodle on stage. He was too confused and too busy making crank calls as Frieza. After the banoodle condom incident, I pretty much spent the next few hours, kind of, at least in my mind, hovering awkwardly near near their table in the vendor's room. I mean, both of them were very, very gracious about it. I was hovering off to the side, standing, sitting, squatting as the case may be, as my legs were or were not tired. Just watching Little Kribo interact with his fans, because I mean, after the panel, he made the announcement at the panel. I'm up on the third floor in this room, 3 whatever room number it was. Come and find me if you didn't get to ask me a question, if you want an autograph, a T-shirt, a poster. Come and find me. And so, of course, after the panel, it's an enormous line. And just getting to see this man interact with his fans was nothing short of amazing. He was so gracious, so happy, so willing to sign anything, pose for pictures. I don't know how many pictures I took just because, oh, will you take a picture with me? Well, here, I reach for the camera. I'm standing right here not doing anything. I might as well make myself useful. And what it boils down to is pretty much the same comment that I made after Youmacon. I'm absolutely blown away by just how nice everyone is. And maybe that shouldn't shock me. Maybe it shouldn't. But just after so long dealing with just, working in retail and customer service and food service, you kind of get a feel for the unpleasantness of people. And just seeing how nice people can be to other people it's wonderful. It really is. As the day wound to a close, the dealers hall eventually, the vendor's room rather, eventually shut down. Everybody went their separate ways looking for dinner. Obviously, I'm standing around while they're stuck in one place and talking to these guys is one thing, but I don't quite have it in me to stalk them while they're trying to eat a meal or going up to their hotel room or anything like that. That's a little beyond me. And frankly, I'm very glad to be able to say that that's beyond me. But all the shops in the university food court had closed, which was pretty lame. It was only about 8 o'clock, and all of them were closed. As I was trying to decide if I wanted Subway, which is the only place that was still open, I passed Little Karibo and Mariana again, looking for dinner themselves, and not able to come up with anything because everything was closed and they'd had Subway for lunch. So I didn't know what they had done after that. I guess they went to find where they could get a meal, which is what I did. The front desk of the university hotel, I went and asked them, look, is there, do you have a map of the area? Is there somewhere I can go to, to get a burger, somewhere I can get a drink, maybe? Is there a coffee shop around? Preferably a 24-hour coffee shop. I didn't know how late I'd be up, and coffee shops are kind of my haunt. I guess it comes with the territory being a writer. Anyway, he gave me a campus map and told me, yeah, go out this way, head north, and when you hit, University Avenue, that's Midtown, and you should see, there's a couple of bars along there. There's places to eat. There's some coffee shops. Here you go. So, I thank him. I take the map, start hiking up there. It's probably 15, 20 minutes. I'm walking along, minding my own business. It's dark. I'm playing my harmonica. Poorly, obviously. But, again, minding my own business. I find this place, and this, obviously, I really should have thought this through better. Bar/dance club on a Saturday night in a university town. That's not my scene at all. I made a terrible mistake, and I'm realizing as I walk up and I can hear the music from 2 blocks away, I've made a terrible mistake. But decided to poke around anyway and see if I could find a quieter bar, and I eventually found a pub called the Copper Monkey. It was quieter looking. There were only, half a dozen to a dozen people in there, and they were mostly sitting either at the bar or at the tables watching a football game. Just something else I can't really give a toss about. I think it was the Baltimore game, from what I remember hearing about it. But, I'm minding my own business. But just as I'm about to go in, because it does look like it's going to be quieter and I'm going to be able to have dinner and have a beer in relative peace, I glance around and who's crossing the street coming towards the same pub? There's Little Karibo and his wife. Again. Wow. I mean, really, what are the odds? It's, I wave, they wave back, and as they reach me, I'm compelled to tell Little Karibo, look, man, I appreciate this, but you're doing it wrong. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, look, how do I put this? I'm the fanboy, and I'm supposed to be stalking you, not the other way around? And he laughs. But both of them, we ended up eating the same place. We were sitting across the pub from each other. Yes, see, I've told the story. It was an accident that we ate at the same place. Stop uh-huh-ing at me. As for the Copper Monkey, the fish and chips I got were decent. Yingling was very welcome at that point. I always find it curious when I go places when I don't get carded. It doesn't matter. I'm older than 21, but I find it interesting which places do or don't card me. Is it the confidence? Is it the fact that I wouldn't ask at all because if I get carded I'm screwed? Is it the beard? It's the beard, isn't it? That's why it's got to be the beard. Guess I shouldn't complain. Anyway, that was pretty much the end of my Saturday. I left before Little Karibo and his wife did. Obviously, again, not going to stalk them anymore. I had meant to stop stalking them a while back, and they ended up stalking me, so I decided to call it a night. I'm yawning just thinking about how tired I was after that. Sunday began a little less auspiciously. I had kind of a rough night's sleep. It turns out, can you imagine? The passenger seat of my pickup truck leaves something to be desired as a bed. What with, you know, you can't lean it back. It's a pickup truck. But yeah, after I finally got myself woken up, I swung by Subway for breakfast. Sat down to charge my phone, headed up to the vendor's room again. Are you noticing a pattern? Because, yeah, it's pretty much, what's that? Am I doing anything? Nope. Up to the vendor's room to stalk little Karibo some more. Pretty much how the trip went, and he really could not have been more gracious about it. I'm still pretty much at a loss for words, and I've been talking for half an hour, so me being at a loss for words really should tell you something. I spent another few hours just watching the man interact with his fans. If they asked a question that he couldn't immediately remember the answer to, sometimes he would turn to me and go, "Hey, do you remember?" Somebody brought him a copy of one of his fan fictions for him to autograph, and apparently it was based on a joke off with Chow about Merrick and Bakura going to Cumtown. Yeah, that was a joke off of with Chow, but goodness, I don't... He asked me, he was like, do you remember where that came from? I'm like, oh god, no. That was just... It was just wonderful. The time for a second panel rolled around, I was still up there, so I walked downstairs with them, or rather, we took the elevator. But I was walking with him, and I told him, you know, the way I'm following you around anyway, I should really volunteer as your handler. I mean, I'm doing it anyway. I might as well be here in some official capacity. Maybe I wouldn't feel quite so awkward following you around all the time. And he laughed again. He's like, really, man, you're not bothering me. The second panel, you know, similar setup to the first one. He obviously still didn't have a video to show, so it was questions and requests from the audience. There were a lot more prank phone calls during the second panel. I remember one in particular where Frieza called someone, somebody's friend. "Hello, Tyrone, is that you?" "Yes, good. I am Lord Frieza. I'm the emperor of most of the known universe." You know, going off doing his thing. "So what are you?" "Your god." "Well then, I've met a god. I wasn't particularly impressed, but..." Hearing Martin roll with it again, a magnificent stage presence. But when he asked what God was up to, apparently he was just chillin'. And when asked, God, who was just chillin', seemed pretty okay with Frieza destroying a handful of planets. So, you know, one or two wouldn't go amiss, apparently, so no problem. Culminated in, after a mighty bunch of other prank phone calls, culminated in another 50 Shades of Grey reading, this time with Bakura and Merrick. Merrick wearing a lovely skirt, as I recall. Yeah, I don't know. Wasn't my idea, guys. What am I going to do? Tell him, no, Martin, don't do that? It's what the fans wanted. Once again, though, Little Karibo failed to say Banoodle. And I pulled up the thing that I'd found. I'd showed it to him. I held it up on my laptop and, you know, waved in my hand. But he did not want to say Banoodle. I'm very sorry. I know that's very disappointing to, I don't know, probably just Trunks and Cheru. But, guys, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. I tried. After the panel, there was only a little bit of time left for Little Karibo and for Mariana because they had to go and catch a plane. Their flight had been scheduled such that after his panel, he basically only had maybe 30 to 45 minutes to finish up selling merchandise, signing autographs. Excuse me. I'm so unprofessional. Only about 30, 45 minutes left for them to do all that before he had to take off so that he could catch his plane in Orlando, which is a good 2-hour drive. I'd hopped in line with everybody else. You know, everybody else had gotten their merch, getting their autographs, getting their photos taken, and I hopped back in line, hoping that I was planning to get him to sign my hat, like maybe here on the inside of the brim, but ended up too far back in line. They had to cut it off just ahead of me, so I guess that will have to be a project for maybe Youmacon. I will get Lil Karibo and everybody else I can find to sign my hat. Anyway, sorry, little moment of regret there, because I really do wish that I had thought of it before that. But anyway, he needed to get going, so I settled for another handshake. I thanked him again for coming down to the convention. I thanked him profusely for putting up with me following around for 2 days. He yet again told me not to worry about it, that I wasn't bothering him, that I wasn't upsetting him. And obviously I let him pack up, do his thing, and set off to go around the convention again, this time with my sis. Was finally done with the maid cafe and actually was able to hang out a little bit. We bumped into somebody else I'd known in high school who uses the internet handle Inkknife. He's an artist. He'd been doing commissions down in the artist alley. I hadn't said hello to him before because I kind of under the impression he didn't really like me. I seem to remember he deleted me on Facebook a while back. And, you know, maybe I'm stressing that too much. I probably am. God knows I shouldn't even care about Facebook, but you know, how am I supposed to take that? I assumed that he was done with me, I guess. But my sis stopped to chat. I figured, what the hell? He seemed to remember me after a moment. It was pretty nice. She and I wandered around the artist alley looking for neat little things. And, you know, we grabbed lunch, and eventually she had to go back to work. She was helping coordinate the convention, and she had to go back to work, so I eventually took off for home. I think the last interesting thing that happened was when I passed back by the vendor's room, I saw some student organizers, you know, kind of standing around fretting that Lil Karibo had left his banner that was up on the wall behind his table with his t-shirt designs listed on it. He'd left it taped up there. He'd forgotten it. And, you know, they were pulling it down, and they were kind of fretting about it. And I was like, look, you know, let me tweet him. So I took it, I helped him take it down, I rolled it up. And I asked him on Twitter if he needed it back, and he said, no, you know, we don't need it. Because I was like, you know, you guys left your banner. Do you need it back? I've got it. I can send it to you. And he goes, no, we don't need it. Don't worry about it. And I said, yes, jackpot. I don't know what I'm going to do with the thing, but yeah, I have a banner with a list of the shirts that Lil Karibo is currently selling. I don't know. Obviously, I can't do anything with it myself. I'm not selling the stuff. I don't have any room to put it up on the wall, even if I wanted to. Yawning again. I'm so unprofessional. Goodness me. Up kind of late last night, sorry. But hey, whatever. Who cares? It's another memory. And that's something I can really appreciate. In the end, I arrived home and found that despite us buying 12.5 beers on just Friday night, by the time I got home on Sunday afternoon, there were none. Roommate responsible for that hasn't been home, but when he returns, there will be words. On the whole, that's all I've got for this convention trip. It was a blast. It was very fun. Let me thank University of Florida. Thank my sis for letting me know about this. Thank you, Lil Karibo, for coming down. And, until I see you all again, here's /Echo, signing off.